But the last thing, which I think is really for me the thing that is the biggest problem, because it wouldn't really cost Apple anything to make the change, is the fact that one, they haven't opened up iMessage to Android. So if you use the default text messaging app on the iPhone, it's just the Messages app, but built inside of that app is the ability to send regular SMS messages or the option to send iMessages, which of course those go to other iOS devices or Mac OS or iPad OS devices, so other Apple products. And yeah, it's a nice, convenient thing. Everybody knows what it is, so no reason to get into the details about that. But because it only works on Apple devices, yeah, the moment that you try to text somebody with an Android device, yeah, the messaging experience isn't as good as it could be, regardless of whatever color bubbles we're going to talk about. The colors of the bubbles don't matter. It's the underlying functionality of the app that's important. So if Apple wanted to, they can make all the bubbles blue. But yeah, the only way that you would know that you're talking to somebody with an iPhone is instead of it saying text right there in the little text box or the little input box, it would say iMessage. So yeah, they could make the colors the same for everybody, but they don't, whatever. So yeah, Apple hasn't opened iMessage to Android. And then also Google recently launched a campaign talking about RCS, which the campaign itself is relatively new, but I think I was exposed to RCS maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. Man, it's definitely been more than 3 years. So maybe 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. It's been a while. And RCS essentially, which I don't want to say it, but I have to say it because I think that's the easiest way for people to understand it, is that it's essentially iMessage for Android. Ugh, I can't believe I said that. But yeah, that's essentially what it is. It gives you the same functionality, the typing indicators, the read receipts, the high quality videos and pictures, encryption, the group message experience, whatever, the inline reactions. So yeah, it gives you all of those same options. And right now, that only works on Android. And you might say, well, wait a minute. If Apple has their own thing and you're upset that Apple has their own thing, shouldn't you be upset with Google? Because not to get into all the history, we'll just say Google created it, which isn't true, but we'll just say Google is in charge of it right now. We'll say that, even though that's not completely true either. But yeah, for simplicity's sake, we'll say, yeah, Google's in charge of it and it's only available on Android devices. And you might say, oh, that's not fair. But the difference is RCS, which stands for Rich Communication Services, Google has explicitly said, Apple, you are more than free to adopt this into your messaging platform, so that way users on iPhones can send messages to Android devices using RCS as opposed to standard SMS. And of course, not of course, but Tim Cook recently pretty much said that's not going to happen.
Good evening, beautiful people. My name is Laquan. So we talked about connectivity being very vital to what Steve saw. And I think a big aspect of connectivity is communication. And communication was revolutionized with the iMessage, right? How do you think Steve would feel currently about the state of communication, specifically between people who aren't within the community of Apple and are part of the iMessage, but more so on the green side of things with Android? We've seen a massive divide there. So how do you think Steve would feel about adapting RCS, rich communication systems, that would normalize and streamline that?
Yeah. Tim, can you bring peace to the phone wars?
He always told me not to wonder what he would have thought, just to do the right thing. I don't hear our users asking that we put a lot of energy in on that at this point. And so now I would love to
continue.
I would love to convert you to iPhone.
Okay.
It's tough. Not to make it personal, but I can't send my mom certain videos, or she can't send me certain videos, and so we leave.
Buy your mom an iPhone.
I hate the fact that he said that, not because I don't agree with it, but because it's like, well, with that mindset or with that type of response, you'd say, well, what about all the other products or all the other services or all the other functional aspects of the devices that you make that people weren't asking for that you decided to implement anyway. Like, who said dynamic island is what customers wanted? Who still thinks Lightning is a port that should be there? Who said that, hey, we don't like these physical SIM cards anymore, so let's go eSIM only, which is another issue with the iPhone 14 that I didn't mention earlier. So yeah, they're just a laundry list of things that I'm sure somebody could just draw up and say, well, we didn't ask for that, or maybe 10 people asked for that. Who asked for an Apple Watch Ultra, which somebody probably did say, oh, I wish we had a competitor, or I wish my Apple Watch did everything my Garmin did, which I don't know. I'm not buying an Apple Watch Ultra. I have a Garmin. It's extremely simple one. It's kind of old, so I don't know what all they're capable of now. But yeah, it's like, yeah, you pick and choose who you're going to listen to, which I get that. And as a CEO of a company or a company in general, yeah, you're not going to do everything that your customers say. But foundationally, even though RCS, I think, has had some issues over in India right now, but foundationally, regardless of how many users truly have access to RCS, that number, I don't know, the overall user experience for each individual iPhone user would be drastically improved. And I don't want to say that's objectively true, because yeah, you might have one person say, oh, I like my green bubbles, or I don't know. But somebody probably would disagree with that statement. So I don't want to say it's objectively true, but for the most part it is. And to hear Tim Cook just kind of disregard it or ignore it is really problematic. And I really think all this, for me, and man, I had a point I was trying to make, but it was there and then I kind of lost it, is that, oh, here it is. Yeah, the iPhone isn't that good of a product. Yeah, that was it. It's not that good of a product. Yeah, I have one right here, and I was using it, and I've been trying my best to get off of it. One, because of iMessage, because yeah, once you're in it and you're using it with other people, yeah, it is nice, it is convenient, whatever. Two, and this is specific to this device, is how small it is. This is the iPhone 12 mini, so it's really small. And I just to give a recap of my iPhones, I had the iPhone 4 was my first iPhone. Then I had a 5C, and then that was pretty much it. I tried an 8 Plus for a little bit. I tried a 6 for a little bit. I had an 8 Plus for a little bit. I had a 10 for a couple days, and a 10 is kind of small. And then I was like, yeah, the iPhone has just gotten too big, so I don't want to use it. So yeah, I specifically got a 12 mini, but it was for iMessage, and then the actual form factor of the device, so pretty small. And now I have a Zen phone, which is a little bigger. In fact, I hold them right next to each other. So yeah, the Zen phone is a little bit bigger, but it is narrow. And for phones for 2022, it's pretty small. But yeah, all that, going back to, the iPhone's not that good of a product. And I think Tim Cook knows it. I think Apple knows it. That, it's not bad. So I'm not going to say, and I'm not going to say, Google or Android is amazing. I do think it's a better product. But yeah, I think they know that of those three things that I mentioned, they have one left. Like FaceTime, it's whatever. It's not really a factor anymore. The Lightning port, it looks like that's going away. But iMessage, they know, and I know, and if you're watching this 19 minutes in or whatever, because I'll probably cut some stuff out, iMessage lock-in is real. And if you open iMessage to the masses, people aren't going to buy iPhones. If you adopt RCS, that same experience that you were getting with iMessage, you can now get cross-platform. So for me, there'd be no reason to buy an iPhone. And I feel like for a lot of people, they'd be like, I can do all the same, literally the exact same stuff on this Android device, on this $200 Android device. I can do literally the exact same stuff if we're talking specifically messaging. So my opinion that I probably could have summed all this up in 20 to 30 seconds. FaceTime is no longer a factor. The Lightning port in terms of control and profit is soon hopefully going to no longer be a factor. And iMessage is that last little component. So from what Tim Cook says, I don't think they're going to open it up. And they now are using that as a means to keep people on the iPhone. I think the eSIM is going to play a role in that somehow, but yeah, I can't see a positive of that, and I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, iPhone's not that good of a product, and I think Apple knows that. I think Tim Cook knows that, and I think they want you to think you're dumb, and just dumb isn't the right word, so I apologize. I think they want you to not really pay attention and realize, one, iPhones don't change, year over year, which is fine. Yeah, the dynamic island is something different, which nobody asked for, but they decided to implement it anyway. And yeah, so yeah, consider another option. Think different.